Hi, I'm Dr. Gemma, and welcome back to Cognitive, the Knitting Psychology podcast. Cheerfully and somewhat irregularly in business since 2008. Segments today may include what's on my hooks, needles, and spindles, a strategy, something I really like, put a lid on it, oh shoot, and blather. So sit back, put your feet up, pick up your knitting, crocheting, spinning, weaving, or dyeing, or any other yarny thing you're doing, and get ready to enjoy. Well, hello, all you wonderful people. It's Gemma, and welcome to episode 152 of the Cognitive Podcast. We were all very happy this week, and we are all getting into that spirit of the autumn this week. Sure, it was in the mid-80s today, but we're working on it because so many fun things have been happening around here. If you go to the show notes, you can leave me a comment or message, or you can do that on our group on Ravelry, and you can also find our show notes in that group on Ravelry. And you will see at the top of the notes my son and I wearing our matching sun hats that have capes down the backs of the neck because it's that kind of weather here. We were going out together to get ice cream and we decided we needed to wear those. In the meantime, your comments and questions are always welcomed. In the warm thanks department, as always, warm thanks to everybody who is supporting CFR 2023, which I hope you can start finding at hashtag CFR23, although someone seems to be co-opting it, so I don't know. When I first used it, there was nobody there, and now there's more. But still, we shall slowly take over that hashtag, gang. Wow, what a week it has been. Special thanks to all the people whose links we have in the show notes as people from Etsy, vendors who are supporting us. Now, I really have to give a shout out to Cutiful Christina, our listener, Chris as she was also called. When her package came all the way from Australia, I literally sat down and cried. It was so beautiful. And I'm trying so hard not to ruin the surprise of the goodie bags, the surprises. They're just really delightful. I'm so happy about the goodie bags. But I do have to tell you that Christina got very involved in the idea that we're going to have a mini skein swap. She sent mini skeins. I can't even. They're so beautiful. I opened it and all I could think of was I have to close this or I'm going to start raiding this bag and just taking them for myself and say, no, Chris, they never came. No, I don't know whatever happened to them. Well, anyway, I'm going to ruin it if I talk too much about it, but wow. So in the show notes, under Warm Thanks, you will see the link to Cutiful Yarns, Chris's yarn shop on Australian Etsy, which means, guys, turn on your VPN and relocate your VPN to Australia and then get on Australian Etsy. But also you can see her podcast on YouTube, and I put a link to her, I think it's her latest episode there. Thank you a million times over, Chris. Just off the scale. If I gave nothing in the goodie bags but these, it would be enough. Just off the scale. So now everybody's in on that mini swap, I'm just saying. Also, I wanted to thank the wonderful people of Yarnopoly and Second Saturday Stitchers. This past weekend, I joined both groups on Saturday. They meet on opposite sides of the Santa Clarita Valley, and I'm not sure if they have any overlap because I've just barely been meeting with both of them in the last few months. But I cannot think of any nicer people. They're just the nicest people to knit and crochet and bead and whatever you're doing with. And I also want them to be integrated into CFR 23. So I do want to tell you that I have extended an open invitation to them to come up for the day. The reason is very simple. Vendors. I have told them you're not going to get goodie bags, but if you come up, you can shop the vendors. Now, we have a policy of keeping this closed because we got shoplifted. But we're talking about maybe as far as I can tell, maybe like 3 people from these groups combined. And I really just want to sell more for the vendors. And I know these people, so I'm not worried about shoplifting from them. So, yes, you may meet occasional people from Yarnopoly and Second Saturday Stitchers at the fiber retreat. And frankly, they're there for the vendors. I have extended the Mother Bear offer to them. If they bring completed Mother Bears, they've all been given the link to motherbearproject.org. And if they do that, they can get in on the raffles, but they have to get there on time and all that good stuff. So I'm going to tell you right now, whoever's helping me on front desk on November 11th, if someone comes up and says, I'm from Yarnopoly and Second Saturday Stitchers, grab me immediately. I'll recognize them. I really will. But I'm just so happy. These are our local groups. I want to integrate them where we can. I don't think we're going to get many of them, as I have said. But I also thought, well, since we only have 43 people signed up, if I can add a handful more to extend the reach of our vendors, I really want to do that. I also have to thank Dizzy Blonde Studios. Laura, I have her in quotes there. She said, okay, everybody, the Sea Glass and Merry Mermaids pre-order form, that is the Sea Glass, the colorway, and the Merry Mermaids bag. The pre-order form for this, if you have not yet ordered from Brenda directly, the order form can be found at post number 60 on this page, and there is a link to the information thread on Ravelry. I also want to point out that we are expecting show colorways from Oink and from Laser Sheep. Now, since everybody listening to this podcast will not be going to the retreat, and that kind of breaks my heart, but hey, we didn't have that kind of room in the conference room anyway. But I am hoping I can get images and links from Oink and Laser Sheep, because I really want everybody who listens to Cognitive, that is the podcast, to get a chance at the colorways. Laser Sheep just has been posting these really toothsome colorways lately for all her other stuff. Oink, I have seen a little less from, but I am major fans of both. And all I can say is, oh Lord, that blue speckled one. Anyway, so I am hoping for show colorways from Oink and Laser Sheep, and I'm very, very excited about that. Again, the link to the information thread is right there, Cognitive Fiber Retreat 2023, all info is right here with a link. It is the info thread on Ravelry, so if you go to the Ravelry group, you will see it as information thread, Cognitive Fiber Retreat 2023, something like that. And of course, it's on from November 11th. This is scaring the mud out of me because it's coming on fast. And at this point, I think everybody who's going to pay has paid. I was asked about the Valencia room. I think it was Oink who asked me. So I did put the facts there. The Valencia room, the dimensions are length, width by height, 30 by 20 by 9 feet, 600 square feet, in other words. The rules are the vendors own it at 9 a.m. because we want to give them a chance to set up. Also, vendors, I hope you're listening, spread out. We have the hotel. We can we have a lobby, we have space in front of the place, we have space out by the pool. I don't know how full this hotel is on a Saturday in November, but I'm not betting it's that full. So we have space. We have each other's rooms. I applied for a suite. I don't know if I'm being given one. So the reality is we want the vendors to come and really sell. We want them to bring a lot of stuff. We want everybody to buy up and have a great time. I am excited because I'm getting a yarn delivery from Lisa Souza in her merino superwash in St. Louis Blues. And at the same time, I'm counting on getting skeins from Oink and Laser Sheep. And Alpenglow, I don't know what I'm counting on because it's just too exciting. She has so much equipment. I think she's bringing rulers. I shouldn't say rulers. I should say measuring equipment and hopefully some of her Swifts and all that. And then Tina's soaps, who I still don't have a link for. I am just living for those soaps because I am a soap hound and I love them. So we are very, very excited. We got 5 just terrific vendors. Already we are in discussions for CFR 2024. I can't believe I just said that. Okay, and now a brief break while Dr. Gemma makes herself breathe slowly. And that's an interesting thing because that means hopefully we're going to pick a different weekend. A lot of people have moved in on this second weekend of November that used to belong to Stitches California or Stitches Southwest, whatever they were calling it when they folded. And so we're probably not going to keep this weekend in 2024. We may just go back to where we used to be in October. I have to do some math on that. I'm saying this here because anybody who's listening who is coming to CFR, we want to talk about this in our debrief on Sunday morning when we all go out to breakfast together. Yes, we do. So it is something to think about when we should do this next year. And I really care about what the vendors think because I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get all these vendors again. This was such a off-the-cuff thing. And so I'm also open to any other vendors who want to come. I'm definitely hoping that we're going to keep Tina's Soaps. And I'm not sure what to say about our other vendors because I don't know their schedules. So this is really important to me, is when are we going to be able to do this again? Because, yeah, it's true, I already want to do it again. What do you want me to tell you? I'm also hoping that we get Dizzy Blonde Studios in as well because they were an old tried and true friend of the podcast and friend of the retreat. So I'm very, very excited about this. So things to think about when this will happen in 2024. In the meantime, I'm just going to remind you the schedule right now looks like we have the Steeking class at 10 o'clock. Looks like after that at 11 we'll do meditation. I'm thinking from noon to 2 will probably be lunch. At 2 o'clock we're going to break into, I think, separate workshops at this point. So at the meeting at 9 a.m., we will just ask people if we have any skills that we want taught, and we will do that. In the meantime, also off the schedule, the mini skein swap. That is, I mean, not on any special schedule. I don't mean they've gone away, but they are not on our fixed schedule. The mini skein swap, please remember about 100 yards, fingering weight. You know, that's about 25 grams if it's easier to do it by weight. Please go see the patterns that I've put on the Ravelry info thread for the retreat. I have one entry that's mostly knitting patterns and a later one that is mostly crochet. The goodie bags, they are coming. They're really cute. Really, really cute. I'm very, very pleased with the logo. They have been ordered. And I'm not going to say why, but again, Steffi Joe, big warm hugs. Thank you. That I can't tell you how excited I am about that. Steffi Joe is contributing. Oh my God, the goodie bags just look so great to me. Anyway, I'm very excited about Jasmine's Steeking class and my own meditation class. I'm very excited about what these skills tutoring groups will be like. Now, it was suggested we just have an open table where people who want to tutor can sit at the table. Let's talk about that when we get there. I'm not too sure about that. I don't want to make anybody feel left out if they're sitting there offering a skill and nobody picks it up. I think it's just something we should more negotiate in that opening meeting, that who wants what. Or people can just say, I'm willing to do this. Do we have any takers? Meanwhile, do not forget, we have the yarn exchange. So any yarn you don't want, please bring. Jasmine Knitmore has offered to take home any extras for a kids knitting group that she's running up in the San Francisco Bay Area. And then don't forget, if you bring a completed Mother Bear, you get a free raffle ticket. Has to be completed with a face and all 4 limbs and a scarf around its neck, you know, the normal Mother Bear. Please don't say I'm going to finish it here today. Please bring a finished Mother Bear. Let me tell you, from what I can see, you really want to be in this raffle with as many tickets as you can get. Someone had asked, what about knitting supplies? They specifically asked about the blockers for needle tips. Curiously enough, I put in a picture of my needles with blockers on them, but that's all I can say. That's all I can say. That the answers are sort of, looks good for some of the supplies. We shall see. So there we go. I'm very, very excited about all this. It's just getting so wonderful. It is less than a month away. My God, we're really doing a CFR. Oh God, I didn't know I would be this happy about it. All I can remember, it was probably about 2013 or 14. I was working down in LA at the Mallard's office when I used to contract for him. And I picked up my stuff and walked out. It was a Thursday afternoon, and what did I used to call him? The stork came out of his office, and he looked at me and he said, "You're just radiant. Why are you so happy?" And I was holding all my backpack in my arm. I had to go to the train station and catch the train back home. And I said, "I'm hosting a retreat this weekend. Tomorrow I drive up to Tehachapi for it." And I said, "You just cannot imagine. This is the highlight of my year, that there is so much love and happiness at these retreats. You just cannot imagine how wonderful it is when I walk into that hotel and I see everybody and I start hugging everybody. You just cannot imagine the wonder of this." And he laughed, and you could see he had no idea what I was talking about. I really, really am hoping we get that same CFR that we had from 2009 to 2016. I really hope we can just put the world aside, which lately isn't easy, I must say, but I hope we can put the world aside and just go in there and be knit siblings together, happy and companionable and loving. The point of CFR has always been twofold. One, to keep the indie vendors going. So I really hope you're going to promote the vendors in those goodie bags and in the links at the ends of the show notes. Those people have been outstandingly generous to us. And I also hope you're going to remember that we are there to support each other. We don't attack each other. We don't argue. We don't have spats. I have finally got a wonderful, wonderful group of vendors. I am missing some of my vendors from the good old days, and I don't know if they're still vending, but we have the best bunch of vendors here, people I love and I trust. So I know we're going to have just a great time. I'll stop slobbering, but I just can't wait. Meanwhile, those of you who aren't going, I'm sorry. Thank you for your patience. You're probably saying, "But Gemma, what's on your hooks and needles?" Well, I finished another skirt. This is a sewn skirt. It is Simplicity pattern 8605. You know my favorite skirt. I think it's something like 13 seams. The easiest skirt imaginable with pockets and a waistband. And you can see a close-up of the fabric. It's my Halloween skirt. It's a background dusted with little white and brown dots and then brown autumnal leaves. And in the middle of these are larger images. They are kitties wrapped around little pumpkins staring into the camera. Oh yes, they're black cats. What did you expect? And you can see a picture of me in the full-length version. Usually I only put one pocket in each skirt. I know that sounds weird, but I'm just lazy about cutting out pockets. And it takes a little extra effort, very little, to put a pocket in. Well, this time I was cutting the fabric and, it said cut 4 of the pocket piece. And I cut 4 and then I said, I usually only put 1 in, and I put it on the right side. And that reminds me where I think of the front of the skirt as being. I don't know, this time I put in 2 pockets. I love it. I love it. It's a fantastic skirt, and I got a lot of positive attention on it this weekend, as I will talk about below. Meanwhile, on the in progress, the stash toss is at 14 skeins in versus 58 out. And hopefully that number is going to jump because I'm getting very close to the end of the Llama Love sweater. You can see it there. I have done the color work on both sleeves, and I have not put the cuffs on. And you can see I have about 4 inches per sleeve. What I do not have is enough of that gorgeous yarn from Lisa Souza, the foxglove. That sweater you're looking at is using up almost entirely 3 skeins of her superwash merino. It's about 1,500 yards, and you can see I've come shy by probably something like 100 yards. And that's okay. I am going to make the cuffs by using the remaining pink and blending it with the red that's in the sweater. That will make a rather subtle shift, and so the cuffs will be in that red. I can't find a pink that matches it, and I'm just thinking, no, use one of the colorways from the sweater itself and the red seems like about the least startling choice. So that needs 2 cuffs, each cuff being about 4 inches, and that will be finished. I hope you will all see it in person at CFR 23. Sorry, I know I said I'd stop talking about it. In the meantime, the Superstition sweater, it's in a nice place. I'm done the color work on the body, and I'm just working my way down the body. I'm about 8 inches down of 16 inches. It's just nice. It's all popcorn knitting now, where you just go round and round in stockinette. I'm debating if I want to add more color to the sleeves or to the hem of the body. I don't care. Right now, I'm just really happy. I have plenty of this yarn that I'm doing it in. It's a very, very old Cascade, so I'm not recommending it because this is before they moved their factory, and it was frankly a better quality in those days. But I am 8 inches down on that, and it's a very, very handsome sweater. The BB-8 socks, which of course is yarned by our own Laser Sheep yarn. I am past the heel, working top down. I'm past the waist yarn for the heel on the second sock. So that's good. I will probably have that done before CFR, it looks like. We shall see. If it's a choice between finishing this sock or the Superstition sweater, I'm going to finish this sock because I would like to be able to just wear them and say I'm wearing Laser Sheep. I also have, you may remember, a crocheted scarf that I made from Oink Pigments, and of course the llama sweater, the main color is Lisa Souza. So I'm trying to get everything in there to represent all our peeps who are vending. I also forgot to mention, I don't know if I've said this yet, we have a very generous donation from Tina's Soaps too, and I love homemade soap. I'm a glutton for it. I'm just saving up all my nickels. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. Also, having now purchased the bags, we do have extra cash, I believe. We should have a pretty good amount to buy from the vendors as well. So we're going to have some pretty rich raffling is all I have to say. In the meantime, Dizzy Blondes, yes, I am definitely setting aside one of my wheels from Maurice, and I believe it is an unboxed Nano, and I will be bringing that with me, and I hope someone brings some brushes. I don't think I've got any fiber brushes. Somebody bring some brushes, will you? Because I want to brush out Minerva's yarn, which is still in the grease, so you are warned. But I want to see if I can spin some more of that. Okay, on to the strategy. This is painful because the situation between, Hamas and Israel, this is very painful. It's very painful, and a lot of my patients are talking about it. And again, a lot of the people I have who are depressed, this is becoming part of their catastrophe. Very, very sad about it, and rather extreme statements on both sides, I have to say. And at a time like this, the first reality is, don't give in to the hype and the fear. I'm not going to pass judgment on either side. I don't like the whole situation, and it's too deep and too complex for me to sit here and make simple statements about right and wrong. But what I'm going to say instead, and this is Dr. Gemma talking, not my personal stuff, but I'm here to talk about a strategy, and that's why I'm saying I'm not going into this. But what I would say is you cannot give in to this. This kind of atrocity goes on all over the world all the time, and if you want to see it, you probably can most days of the week. This is a terrible thing. Humans do terrible things to each other. And you have to decide, does this really affect you directly? I think we're all indirectly affected. I don't think there's any way to avoid that. And also, I believe that's part of the human unity, that an attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. But what I'm going to say is, you cannot give in to this. You have to realize that our lives go forward. And if you are not sitting in Israel or Palestine, you have to move forward. And I say that because you have real lives. You have people who rely on you. You have families who need you. And so you have to draw the line between getting through your life and being there for the people who depend on you, and the line of, what am I going to do about these things? By all means, donate as you see appropriate. I would say medical relief organizations such as Doctors Without Borders, Médecins Sans Frontières, or the Red Cross, these are great places to donate. And if you are following a spiritual path, you're going to do what you find to be consistent with that path. But keep in mind, the most anyone can do for the world is to give of themselves. If your life is given to the care of others, you are already doing that. We look to the icons of selflessness like Mother Teresa or Reverend King. We look to these icons, but we realize they are giving through the way they use their lives to other people. Many people are doing that without being as famous as Mother Teresa or Reverend King. And we have to be real about the fact that that's all there is. The most you can give is your own service, your own love and caring for other people. So please remember, if you are raising children, you are giving. If you are raising them in love and gentleness and good manners and social well-being and emotional maturity, you are already giving all you have to give, okay? So yes, the American cliche, thoughts and prayers, yes, donate, yes, but keep in mind, as abstract as it seems, living a life of service where you genuinely give to your family, to your children, to your grandchildren, to your loved ones, where you try to live a life of generosity and volunteerism and openness, that's the most you have to give, is yourself. Mother Teresa or Martin Luther King were doing this on a big scale, on a national and international stage. But at the end of the day, they were giving of themselves. And if that's what you are doing as much as you can. You are giving the utmost. So please, when you're doing that, if you feel sad about what's going on, by all means, if it's consistent with your beliefs, stop and pray for the victims, for the innocent. By all means, donate to a group that will help, like the Red Cross. By all means, but really, at the end of the day, we change the world by the lives we live as individuals. The worst victimization is when we take away the value of the individual's gift by living and by giving of themselves. That is what makes the tragedy when innocent people are killed, that those people could have given us so much if only they had had the chance. So you do that. But in the meantime, you are not helping anyone by being angry and upset all the time. Do realistic action where you can, and remember that we are a community, and when we serve each other, we do the highest good for ourselves as well. And if we all were committed to that, we wouldn't have this insanity. In the meantime, fluffy books, the Bridgerton books, I'm still enjoying them. I'm on the Smith quartet. I'm on the third book. This is the most satisfying quartet, I have to tell you, because they started with a core story of a duel that happens between two young men who do not really want to duel each other, but they get drunk and stupid. And so the first three books, at least, I haven't gotten to the fourth book, they spiral outwards from the events of that duel. I cannot imagine what the fourth book is going to be about, because we've covered, as far as I can tell, in the third book, every part of that duel. But I just love the way this is happening. That these first three books, at least, of the Smith or Smythe-Smith series are really picking up the threads of one major event. And at the same time, they are delightfully funny. The dialogue is great. The third book, I think of the three so far, I'm finding it to be slightly weaker than the others, but they're still all delightful. I am a big fan of the Bridgerton series and its various prologues and epilogues and side notes and everything else by Julia Quinn. In the meantime, on Netflix, I watched Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which I believe came out in 2022. The animation is problematic. It looks like DreamWorks decided not to invest all the money in the fast action scenes. The story is very clever and interesting, and yeah, in many ways it goes where you think it should go, but it's very, very enjoyable. I have to say, I feel like there were a bunch of older people writing this script. They're talking a lot about running out of life and death. It's very satisfying. It's a very sweet, satisfying story. And it's nice to see that it arrives at the right place for Puss and his sidekicks. Perito, the puppy, is a very, very interesting and satisfying character. I thought I would hate him. I thought, oh no, when they brought him in the beginning. And the backstory there, and the further it goes, the better it gets. A lot of the good-natured humor of the Shrek series, just really, really delightful. So Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, I deeply enjoyed it. Then I'm watching Mr. Queen on Netflix. It's another Korean drama set in the historic pre-Korean Republic era. I want to call it by name, but I'm afraid I will butcher it. Really anglifying it, Joseon era. The costumes are wonderful. The story is very strange. Like, whoever thought of this? And again, it's kind of this fascination with cross-dressing, or I don't even know how to say this. The identity and gender switching in ways you don't expect. I'm enjoying it. It's very weird. I'm enjoying it. But why Netflix seems to head for this type of plotline in K-drama, I don't know, but I'm enjoying it. And maybe I'm just getting the wrong idea because I just piled up 2 of these in a row. But it is fun and it is interesting. Something I really like, local craft fairs. You can see a picture of one of my stitching groups, the Second Saturday Stitchers. I went specifically out yesterday to empty out more of the trash from the garage. And then I went down to the Bridgeport area of Valencia to the Bridgeport Craft Fair. I forget what they were calling it. I don't care. It was amazing. It's one of those moments you know you're meant to be there when you get the last space in the very overcrowded parking space. The truck in front of you can take it and doesn't. And suddenly you're in it and the other trucks are cruising around forever. Well, the trucks. I wasn't in a truck. I was in a Prius. So I get in there and I'm thinking, oh, I don't really want to do a craft fair. Wrong-a-mooly. I walked in and I found a bunch of people selling candles, and they were fantastic, and they had very witchy Halloween scents. So I ended up buying these fabulous soy candles. They were really, really good prices, really delightful. Now, they were creatively named. Like, one was called something like Basic Witchy, and it's just a vanilla. One was Rose Garden. It was Rose. I can't think the other scents. I mean, they had cute names. Dying to Meet You, I think, was one of them, and I can't even remember what that is. But they were a lot of fun, and I got a little hairband covered in cloth that had an adorable orange cloth with black bats on it. That was good because I was wearing my skirt that I just finished, the Pumpkin Kitty skirt that I just told you about. And as I walked by this candle stand, they called me out saying, "Great skirt." And I knew that meant, yes, fellow crafters recognized that I made this myself. Really, because who sees skirts like this? Flannel with pumpkins and black cats, right? So that's how I got drawn over to them. And of course, I bought from them. Then I wandered around and there was this lovely lady with big plants. Boy, did I regret my cash shortage, because if this was not the middle of the month, if this was the end of the month, I would have bought a lot from this woman. She had these big honking rosemary plants. And again, I walked up and I rubbed one of them to make sure, but it looked like rosemary. And she said, "Yeah, that's rosemary. This thing comes up to my jaw, and it's about as wide as I am, in a big jug, and, plastic, disposable." And I looked at her and I said, "How much do you want for this?" And she said $15. And after I scraped my jaw up from the ground, because I would have thought she would have said 30 or 40, I said, "You got it." I sat down. I had to revive my Venmo account to do this, but I happily did so and bought it from her. And then I wandered along and I found Second Saturday Stitchers in their own little tent. And one of them, Sophia, had a tent. She wants to start a craft shop where people can wander and do crafts. I hope this is going to work because we are in the high rent district down there in Santa Clarita Valley. But anyway, she was there, and Denise, oh, I can't think of all their names now. Doggone me. Anyway, well, we just had a ripping good time. I sat and I talked with them. And if you look carefully in that picture, you will see I am sitting there on the end of the bench. And to my right, your left, is a big rosemary bush in its pot on the bench. And we're just sitting there companionably. I don't know who took this picture, but I got it off their webpage and I was very happy. Or I think they posted it on Facebook, something like that. So I had the best time at this craft fair. And again, I walked by them and they said, wow, look at that wonderful skirt. And I said, you're crafters, aren't you? And then they said, we're Second Saturday Stitchers. And I was like, wah! And I ended up inviting them to CFR. Because, you know, I only met 4 of them, and I think 1 or 2 of them are actually going to come to CFR. But it's very local to them. It's really within easy reach for them. In the meantime, I had such a good time there. I went back to the car just full of happiness. And then I went over to the meeting of Yarnopoly at probably 2 blocks away at Starbucks. They meet once a month there. And I went and I gave them the information for CFR, saying if you want to come Saturday and just shop the vendors, please come. So I gave them that, and I gave them the Mother Bear information as well. It was such a jolly, happy experience. I had a quick Chipotle lunch before all this, after I dropped off all my trash, and then I went off to Starbucks and had a cup of iced tea and was just so darn happy. I got home at like 2:30 singing for joy. It was just a great weekend, and I just got so in the Halloween spirit, I can't tell you, by making and wearing my beautiful skirt. Meanwhile, put a lid on it. No tea tastings, although I am getting some new tea from a listener, and I will tell you more about that next time, I suspect, when they have arrived, but warm thanks. In the meantime, also thanks to Keto Snacks. Now, I have said Keto Snacks likes to reproduce a lot of the keto recipes that are circulating. He also does some interesting stuff. He does a lot of things with parchment paper on cookie sheets where he just takes cheese and a veg like squashed broccoli or peels of zucchini strips, and he puts them on parchment paper and he puts cheese and tomato sauce on them, or mushrooms or whatever, and, you know, says, look at this snack. These are handy things. Don't underestimate it. So he made pumpkin pancakes. And again, this is a recipe I've seen floating around. So I don't know if he originated this, but I did credit him in the show notes. And I put the recipe in because, first of all, if you're keto, pancakes are a pretty rare treat. Second, pancakes are usually made in keto with coconut flour that adds carbs. He did not. He used almond flour. And I'm not sure. You have to blend all the ingredients that you see there. I'm not sure how light these guys are going to be, but it's worth trying. And the carbs in this are going to come mostly from the pumpkin. It is a squash. They do have some carb. But it's not as starchy as some of the squashes can be. And I'm really looking forward to trying this. I have made pumpkin keto pancakes before from a slightly different version of this recipe. I have to tell you, if you get this right, these things are wonderful. And if you're keto, you probably haven't had a lot of pancakes. So you're going to probably enjoy this. On to the blather. The pup date, nothing new. I'm dreadfully embarrassed because Queenie has to go get her annual and her rabies. And also because I haven't done a darn thing in the watercolors because I've been working on so many other projects. The hub's date, he has really been a trooper on Project G. And at this point, it is shocking. He just keeps going on the weekend, going through stuff in the garage. So I now have a pile of things to go through and dispose of. That's easily 4 times what I had 2 weeks ago. But it's really great. A lot of it is my old junk that I didn't even know I had. I thought this had all been disposed of. And I was really shocked to find how much of my old junk is still around. And it's just a relief. I'm going through it quickly and realizing, yes, there was a time I wouldn't have been able to part with some of this stuff. Now I can't wait. I'm getting huge boxes to take down to the SCV free craft giveaway. I have so much stuff. 3-ring binders. I have tons of those that he and I both used in our various teaching careers. I've got old poster paints for kids. Oh, I can't even tell you. I've just got so much stuff to give away. A paper cutter, a big plastic loom. It's just a big square loom. It's really great. A peg loom. So this is very exciting. So yes, I am just emptying things as fast as I can, and it's still going to take months. But it's good. The garage is, in its own weird way, looking better. Oh dear, Project T. Well, the first journal from Europe, I was doing in small bits and getting a lot of dreams and nightmares. In fact, I haven't done it this weekend, which is surprising. So I started a different journal just to give myself relief so that when I want to dictate journal into a Word document, I have a journal that's a little less emotionally stressful. So it's very fun. I'm just sitting here transliterating the journals. What's really surprising is as I read these things, I do remember the events. I would have thought I wouldn't, but it brings them back in real living color, so that's been really cool. Project Cookbook. Well, every time I make a recipe, I put it into the cookbook file. So I write it down on an index card and I put it in the wooden cookbook file. So yes, the pumpkin pancake recipe above will be going in there today. So really, if you just keep adding your recipes, it builds up. The nice thing was I made the pumpkin spice earthquake cake today. And for the first time, instead of bringing my digital version into the kitchen, I just reached into that wooden box, found the card, and used it. It was much easier, frankly, as long as I kept the card clean. So Project Cookbook is going right along slowly, and I am getting through my recipes, which kind of surprises me. The Green Fingers report, well, you can see a picture of me, and I'm holding one of my candles. I'm crouching next to my car, actually, and I'm at the craft fair I went to yesterday. And you can see I'm wearing the Pumpkin Kitty skirt and sunglasses and looking a little bit wrinkled for the wear. But I'm holding one of the wonderful candles, and you can see the giant bush behind me of rosemary that I'm so excited about. So, Green Fingers, I was going to buy more plants. I've decided to stop planting for the fall. But then there was this rosemary. I wish I had had more money available, freed up from our budget. I would have bought her entire stock of rosemary bushes. She had like 4 of them. If I find her again this fall and she has more of them, I will be buying more of them. In the meantime, my husband really wanted me to grow rosemary. So I brought this home as a treat for him. And I'm hoping it'll make it through our winter. They do seem to grow well here, but it gets a little cold for them. So we're just going to see. But it's very, very exciting that there's my big old rosemary by my car door behind my head there. The other nice thing, my former student, Professor Lisbeth M. Benkert, I believe she's at South Dakota State, she is publishing a slim volume of modern poetry, as the best English professors do. Liz has always been, Professor Liz has always been a fabulous poet, and it just breaks my heart with pride to see her publishing this book. And I don't think she's listening, but I just want to tell you how proud I am of Dr. Lisbeth M. Benkert, my former student. I helped get her get through her dissertation at Washington State. Well done, Dr. Liz. We're all proud of you. Meanwhile, on the calendar, Yarnopoly and Second Saturday Stitchers, they tend to meet up on the second Saturday of each month. Turns out Yarnopoly is going to meet on the 12th, the day after the Cognitive Fiber Retreat. I'm very complimented by that. So hopefully I will make their meeting after CFR 23, and we will have some discussion there of it, and everybody will be encouraging everybody else to go there. Rhinebeck West is a special event that the Knitting Tree down by LAX is holding on Saturday, October 21st, this coming Saturday, but in fact the day you should be hearing this, I hope. And I'm not sure if I'm going or not. I was offered a space, but I'm just not sure. I think one of the Yarnopoly ladies offered me a space in her car, but I'm not sure if I want to commit because right now I'm so tired. The Cognitive Fiber Retreat 2023, of course, is on Saturday, November 11th at the Courtyard by Marriott in Valencia, and this is a closed retreat, except we are inviting Yarnopoly and Second Saturday folks to come in and shop the vendors on Saturday. Thanksgiving, I have been given all my requested vacation days, so I will be doing Thanksgiving from November 23rd through the 26th. Anybody who wants to get together, just message me and let me know. The Evolution of Psychotherapy Conference will be in Anaheim, California at the Anaheim Convention Center and also online. right next to Disneyland. You bet I will be down there for several nights, and I'm very excited about that. And finally, I will be off from December 23rd through January 1st for Romule, when I will be hopefully assembling my Romule sweater, which I usually make out of odds and ends from my stash instead of doing an organized sweater. Going to be a challenge this year because I have a lot of sweater amounts available, and I will have all the stuff to make these sensational Astræus sweater, which I plan to do very simply, just with a collar of phases of the moon and some stars. I don't plan to do the full bore as designed beautifully by Bad Wolf Girl Knits, alias Megan Regan. I don't go for the full blast of color, but I'm just so looking forward to that sweater. But Romule is when I traditionally pull all my scraps together and make a sweater out of them. So we will see, because I'd also like to use my yarn from Minerva in one of my Romule sweaters. So we will see what happens there. Minerva gets the last word. You can see her there. Since we're all in the Halloween spirit, she is doing her best imitation of Frankenstein. You can see all the wires coming out of her head. She is, of course, becoming one with my multiple outlets and charging cables. So she looks like she has them all sticking out of her head. So there's our Franken kitty. And Minerva is getting in the mood for Halloween now that I have made at least one skirt with her image on it. After that, you will see my favorite resources, my favorite dyers, who coincidentally are the ones who are going to be our vendors, and then all the LYS people that I love. And then you will see the cool stuff people and the Etsy people all in a big row there. So this is very exciting. In the meantime, remember, keep your cool. We are a community. When we work for each other, we work for ourselves. When we work for ourselves, we work for each other. I know it's a little corny, but it is the truth. So everybody take a deep breath. There is still much beauty in the world, and we're heading into Halloween. So that's exciting. Remember, yes, COVID and all that are still out there. Get your shots, and you might want to bring some masks. So far, so good with CFR, but if you feel the need to wear masks, of course, we are a hate-free zone at CFR, so we will all be loving on each other. So if you want to wear a mask or you don't want to wear a mask, as long as there's no rule to wear a mask, we're all just going to be loving on each other at CFR. But please get all your vaccines, just saying. And in that spirit, everybody, please stay safe, take care of each other, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye. So we have come to the end of another episode of Cognitive. Please do not use this podcast to diagnose yourself. If you think you are having a mental health problem, please contact a licensed mental health professional. Show notes for these episodes can be found at cognitivepodcast, all one word, .blogspot.com. Episodes can be found at iTunes under the name Cognitive Podcast, but also can be found posted next to the show notes on the Blogspot page. Thank you so much for listening. Everybody, stay safe, take care of each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.